All right, so since it's the weekend, let us have some fun. And by fun, I mean watching trolls do their thing against transphobic policies. And in this case, Utah trolled with 4,000 hoax reports of trans bathroom ban violations within days of reporting forum launch. Now, just by that title, that sounds hilarious. Now, normally I am not a fan of trolls, but sometimes they do beautiful things. They use their powers for good. Usually they don't, but occasionally we have good trolls. And these are definitely good trolls. So let's just get right to the article. HB 257, which took full effect Wednesday, requires the Utah Auditor's Office to receive and investigate complaints when government entities don't comply with the law. So you can see that this is going to be good. All right, let me just make this just a touch bigger in case my eyes decide to give out on me. All right. Go away, ad. Less than 72 hours after the launch of a reporting forum to help Utah enforce its transgender bathroom ban, the Utah Auditor's Office said it has received nearly 4,000 complaints, and all of them appear to be bogus. We didn't see anything that looks credible, Utah Auditor John Dougal said in a phone call, noting that the claims have been pretty easy to screen. For example, if they have my name as a complainant, you know I'm not complaining. Oh my God, that is hilarious. His office created an online reporting tool to comply with Morgan Republican Representative Kira Birkeland's sex-based designations for privacy, anti-bullying, and women's opportunities, or HB 257. Okay. After being rushed through the legislature and quickly signed by Governor Spencer Cox in January, the now law changes the legal definitions of female and male to categorize Utahns by the reproductive organs of their birth and restricts which bathrooms and locker rooms trans people can use in government-owned buildings. Okay, one question. Now, it's rare, but what do you do with intersex? Seriously, serious question. Did these people even consider that intersex people exist? And do not tell me it's rare, because trans is rare as well. So, granted, intersex is probably less rare. I mean, more rare, but still. All right. And of course, bathroom bills, because apparently the party of ew groomers, ew perverts, seem to not have a problem with looking at people's genitals. Because that makes sense. Anyway, the law goes on to require the state auditor's office to establish a process to receive and investigate alleged violations of this chapter by a government entity, and then notify that entity if the violation isn't resolved. The auditor is required to refer the issue to the Utah Attorney General's office, which can then impose fines up to $10,000 per violation per day. Now, I don't know if the auditor is just an innocent bystander in all this, or if the reason they're using his name is because he's just as much of an asshole as the rest of them. I would assume the legislature probably didn't think through what kind of public backlash might happen, Dougal said Friday. Of course they didn't, because they don't give a shit about their constituents. They just want to use their power while they still can. They just want to go on power trips, and because they think trans people are icky because of things they've made up in their heads, then obviously we need to deal with it, because their nightmares need to become everybody else's. HB 257 took full effect on May 1st. The alleged violation must have occurred at a publicly owned or controlled facility, program, or event. The reporting tool informs those looking to submit a report. When possible, citizens should make a good faith effort to address and resolve concerns with the government entity before submitting a complaint to the state auditor. The auditor's office asks 5 questions in the form, only requiring the reporter to submit a name, email, and select which government entity they are complaining about. It also provides a field for documents supporting your complaint, like images or PDFs to be added to the report. Oh my God, I'm now envisioning dick pics being sent. If these trolls have not been sending dick pics, they seriously need to be sending dick pics. Obviously not their own, because, you can find those online. I'm sure there's stock photos of dick pics. I've heard of people trolling scammers who are asking for pics, who will send a dick pic. And these are not people with dicks. It's just, freak the scammer out, because, they're usually homophobic. So if that isn't one of the ways people are being trolled, it really has to be. Salt Lake City Democratic State Senator Jen Plum questioned on X whether it was appropriate for the office to allow reporters to attach images to their complaints. Yep, I bet she's seeing dick pics being sent left and right. Because, as we've learned with this new Republican Party, the Democrats are generally infinitely smarter than Republicans. Oh my God. Apparently, Utah's solution to people feeling unsafe in restrooms is to encourage folks to take photos of and focus extreme attention on the private parts of others who are taking care of a biological need to eliminate waste. What could go wrong, she wrote in a post. I didn't even think of it that way. I just thought of, spamming with dick pics. I didn't think about, people in good faith doing that, because, that's creepy too. And let's face it, the party that is so concerned about, claims to be so concerned about women and girls and being assaulted and all that, but they're okay with this, with pictures of a stranger's genitals being sent to them. That sounds like an issue for whoever the Republican is. It sounds like they just want to see these parts. So, yeah, it's just really creepy. Dougal told the Salt Lake Tribune that it's common for his office to include such a field on complaint forms, like one for improper government activity. He said it helps his office validate the allegations, noting, but there are laws that prohibit taking pictures of people in restrooms. So what kind of images are they supposed to be sending then? I mean, that makes zero sense. Okay, yes, it's it's common for the form. But you know what? It's super easy for this one form to remove that field. It's not that hard. I have created forms before at work. It's not hard, even if you have a template for that one form, to not have that field. It's easy to delete. Might not be as easy to add, which is why templates are a thing, but removing, that's usually easy, depending on the program. Earlier this week, the database of forms submitted to the auditor's office was reportedly left accessible to the public until sometime on Thursday, 404 Media reported, meaning a password or authentication wasn't required to see parts of the allegations. Oh, that's nice. Who is in charge of the Utah's government? Kindergartners? And I think I'm insulting kindergartners. What the hell? But then again, this whole form thing is rather stupid, so I guess it checks out. While a journalist at 404 Media reported they did not see names or contact info in the database, comments and image attachments were easily viewable. Oh boy. Like I said, I'm sure dick pics galore. Since contacting the auditor's office, the database now requires authentication to access, according to 404 Media. I cannot believe it takes journalists to tell you how to create a database. Don't you have experts doing this? I mean, Jesus Christ. I probably would have figured that out even before I took any database classes. Because that makes, sense. That only people who are authorized to use database should have access to it. Duh. Mind blown. Dozens of people posted screenshots on X of themselves submitting jokes and memes through the form. I hope they go into some of them, because I want to see what some of these people said. Trans activist and journalist Erin Reed reported that attempts in other states to launch what she called snitch lines have likewise been flooded with memes and protests. Well, yeah. What did you think was going to happen, you dumbasses? Do you really think that there are people who have nothing better to do? Well, I'm sure there are some. Than to send in a complaint form? I mean, those people who complain about trans people aren't going to be sending this to the government office like this. They're just going to go full Karen, ask for the manager, and complain to them. They're not going to, take the time to fill out a form because they're just righteous indignation wouldn't allow them that much time. Yay! The new Utah law does not make it a crime to send false reports to the auditor's office. Well, that's good. But repeatedly falsely alleging to emergency personnel that the law was broken can result in a Class B misdemeanor. Okay. Is that where this is going? To emergency personnel? Utah's latest law targeting the transgender community, which comprises less than 1% of Utahns, that's because that's basically the overall statistic, so nothing to see here, defines a women's restroom and man's restroom, each as spaces only designated for the exclusive use of females and males, respectively. Then don't call them women's restrooms or men's restrooms. Call them male restrooms and female restrooms. Because you are talking about biological sex as opposed to gender. So label it what you want it to say. instead of accusing others of not knowing what words mean when you obviously do not know what words mean. The law also bars trans people from using changing rooms, locker rooms, showers, and dressing rooms that align with their gender identity in government-owned and controlled facilities. Right, because obviously that's just ripe for abuse. Seriously, what I just don't get why people are so hung up on women getting attacked in restrooms. Now, granted, that is a thing that happens, but guess what? It's not trans women doing it. A man is not going to go through the process of changing his gender just so he could go in and attack a woman. That is not how this works. If a criminal is going to crime, they are going to do it as their own damn selves. They're not going to go through all this rigmarole just to commit a crime. That is literally not how this works. Alright. Let's see. That prohibition also extends to public schools. Well, that is a government institution, so yeah. Some trans adults are allowed to enter gender-specific spaces in limited circumstances. You mean like when they're with their kid? If they have had both bottom surgery, a costly and invasive procedure, and amended their birth certificate, which is a legal impossibility for people born in some states. Okay, so yes, that's number one, like it said. And not all trans people have dysphoria down there. The only reason Caitlyn Jenner had bottom surgery was because people kept bugging her about it. And she shouldn't have had it just for that reason to begin with. Because it's not anybody else's damn business whether she has a penis or a vagina. If she's perfectly fine having a penis, if she doesn't have just dysphoria about it, fine. It's not the penis that makes men do horrible things. It's not the penis that makes males attack women. That's not what does it. So, seriously. These men are doing a delightful self-own. They're basically telling everybody, because I have a penis, you need to fear me because I could possibly rape you. Seriously, is that really the look you want? You want people to know that you're capable of raping at a moment's notice simply because you own a penis? It is just dumb. So, and again, this sounds like it just cares about trans women. What the hell about trans men? Do trans men have to have had bottom surgery? And why should that be an issue? Since you seem to think that trans women are, super icky, and because they have male anatomy, they might attack women even though they might actually be gay. But that doesn't register into anyone's brain because transphobia and homophobia. Oh my God. In addition to government entities potentially facing fines if they violate the law, trans people in Utah can face criminal penalties if they use spaces that align with their gender identity. Well, isn't that lovely? An investigation by the Tribune found multiple instances of elected officials sharing misinformation about trans people to support the passage of HB 257. You don't say. Of course they're going to use misinformation. They just want to manipulate the situation to benefit them. They don't actually care about facts. They don't actually care about protecting people. They just, I don't know, they find trans people icky, so let's try to erase trans people or something. Those included claims that tens of thousands of parents complained to the Utah State Board of Education about privacy issues, that hate crimes against LGBTQ plus people had gone down, and false portrayals of criminal cases. What? I'm just reading this again. Wow. You're actually doing so what? You've decided that hate crimes against LGBTQ plus people had gone down, so you passed a law to push it back up? Because that is the only thing that I can think of right now. Seriously, why add that? I mean, seriously, how does that strengthen your case in anything? Even if that had gone down, what's the problem? I don't see why you seem to think that this is saying what you think it says, and the fact that it was enough to get it passed doesn't say a lot about the intelligence of the people in the legislature. And I can only assume it is mostly Republican. Now, I don't know if it's a supermajority, but definitely majority Republican. And it is sad that we don't have... Let me see if I can find... if I can find an example of some of the trolling documents, because that sounds absolutely hilarious. Of course, I'm not going to find that link anymore, because... doesn't look like I'm going to be able to find it. Well, that's too bad. Because that would have been absolutely hilarious. Anyway, so that is all I have for that article. And with that, I will see you guys in the next video.